Welcome to the second episode of Should You Buy. Today's feature is Crysis 3, the third in a trilogy of generally well-received games by Crytek, although the last entry, Crysis 2, was somewhat of a disappointment in comparison to the original's brilliance. So could EA and Crytek provide the kick up the arse that the series definitely needs? There'll be some changes in this review compared to the previous, such as a less definite verdict, meaning that instead of labelling a buy, rent or avoid verdict, I'll be concluding if the game is worth buying, worth renting, or not even worth the time of day, meaning that the verdict could change over time if the game lowers in price. Let's start as usual with the game's single player, which I felt features an originally intriguing but now tiring storyline. If you are a fan of Crysis 2 story arc, then you'll probably want to know what happens with Prophet, Cell and the alien dudes, otherwise it'll pass many people by. There's a feeling of desperation in the jungles of New York as Prophet fights with his own sanity, accompanied by a beautiful level design, amazing graphics and somewhat open levels for a generally linear game, but still it's a big improvement on Crysis 2's corridor levels. But it is the game's introduction of Psycho that spoils the only atmosphere retained, and it becomes a comical journey through what is left of New York. And New York really is a jungle, with overgrown vegetation, rivers and animals like frogs and deer, fully huntable by Prophet if he ever gets peckish for a bit of venison or frog's legs. Of course, Crysis' signature game mechanic is back with even more different ways of approaching levels in the second. Will you stealth it, run and gun, or pick off enemies one by one? The big problem is it doesn't really matter though. There's a few forgettable sections like tanks, buggies and a VTOL part where pressing the fire button to mow down everything on the screen seems to be the suitable way forward. These probably have been thrown in to make it connect with the original more, as you could do that a lot in the first one. Unfortunately, the story is very predictable and nothing will surprise you, even the Avengers-like scene at the end. Dialogue can be funny and Psycho's proper British accent adds comical effect to the game. Make up your own minds up if that is a good thing. But most of it is taken straight off a Hollywood action movie like Independence Day. Crysis 3 also features some really disappointing and unrealistic AI, as many enemies will sometimes run towards you at one at a time to find out what has happened, allowing you to pick them off, or sometimes they'll just instantly call for backup. One glitch I experienced sees enemies continuing speaking and reporting even after you've snapped their necks. Most critically though, some of the new mechanics in Crysis 3 bring the game down. The bow is completely overpowered. It's far too easy to fall into a pattern of Step 1, cloak engage. Step 2, kill everyone you see with a silent arrow that doesn't break your cloak. Step 3, hide in a dark corner until your suit is at full power again. Step 4, shoot the remaining enemies that stupidly came to stare at their dead friends. Step 5, collect the arrows from the pile of death you create so you can do it all over again in the next checkpoint. There are also a few glitches that can affect the game on the PS3 version, that is. I heard that the console versions cannot handle its graphical capabilities, so it may be best picking it on PC if you can handle it. The multiplayer features beautiful maps with various battles and events happening in the background. Some maps in nature-riddled New York, others inside alien ships and bases. There are a lot of upgrades for your nanosuit and 21 different weapons. Team Deathmatch is fast, fun and interesting. Includes alien weapons and vehicles with added stealthiness and not too difficult for amateur players. Hunter mode is exciting, tense and immensely enjoyable. It's very similar to escape mode on Aliens Clone Marines, although it's more balanced and isn't as shit. Nanosuit battles try to create a COD-like mode, but it doesn't really work as gun versus gun battles are not a strength for Crysis. Onto its value for money. I was going to keep it as repealability, but as soon as that isn't actually a word, I think I might have to rethink the idea a little. Anyway, the single player campaign has 7 levels with 4 different difficulties. Multiplayer mode has 11 modes and the max level is 50. So the verdict I'm giving Crysis 3 is a 7 out of 10. It features so many badass weapons and abilities, but you'd be lying to yourself if you said you feel like a badass while playing it. Multiplayer is a fresh experience and Hunter mode is something that you'll spend hours playing it and justifies buying the game. I would say if you're a fan of Crysis' style of gameplay, story arc and want an interesting and engaging multiplayer as a change from the glorious experience of Call of Duty, then buy it. If you are not a fan of Crysis but want to give it a chance, then I definitely recommend renting it. The fantastic graphics and immersive multiplayer. It's worth it.